Chris Wallace, advisor to men, bringing you another edition of the ATM News. This week, we're going to talk about parenting simplified for men. The truth is, kids have never been so mollycoddled, over-supervised, and even pathologized as they are now. Now, I'm not talking about an old guy that back in my day was a lot harder and we had to walk uphill to school and all that bullshit. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the way that we pathologize all of our children now. As their defender, a man's role is to encourage a child to take risks under his protection. But what are the core elements to successful parenting? The principles here apply to every relationship in degrees. And we call this parenting simplified for men. Updated, of course. The first principle is this: kids need to orient towards a parent. It's how nature made us. If that orientation is weak or broken, your children will orient elsewhere, because that's how it works. Think of a baby duck or goose whose mother is run over or killed. It's rescued. It bonds with a human, a doll, a cat, or dog, whoever's feeding it, imprinting and following them around as if they were its mother. You don't want that. You want your kid's emotional compass needle pointed at you. Because if you don't do that, video games, drugs, risky behaviors, poor choices in friends, and an over-reliance on peer groups are some of the ways a kid or teen will make up for a lack of connection with a parent or parents. By the way, what the fuck do peers know? In general, not that much. Orientation is often the issue when kids go off the rails. After age 14, it becomes a little more difficult to maintain parental orientation as time passes. Can you reclaim orientation? Yeah, sure you can. Because in a scary world, teens desperately want to be rescued from themselves. They are born with a rudimentary sense of justice and can compare your family with the families of their friends. They know who's happy and who's not. They can see what works and what does not work. They crave love and attention and depend on mentoring. They want freedom, but they also want rules. Consider that all communication is a bid for connection. At the heart of parenting is that connection. It's worth repeating. It keeps it simple. The key question to ask yourself is this: is what I'm going to do or say going to increase connection, or am I going to weaken connection? If it increases connection, you're probably doing what nature intended. If it weakens or severs connection, that likely goes against the natural order of things. Ask yourself this connection question often. Is what I'm about to say or do going to strengthen connection or weaken connection? Make it part of your approach. To me, it's so much about connection. Focus on connection right from the start. When parents realize it's really this simple, many sort of aha moments ensue from its simplicity. You just got to stay connected. Connection is surface simple, but it's vast and deep in practice. The best concepts are like that. So what do you need for connection? Well, to connect, you need time, not quality time so much as just time spent in connection. Safe, secure, predictable. The need to belong is universal and largely what drives us in life. The whole emotional system is tied to our need to belong. Ostracism is the real scourge of mankind. From connection, the child will feel valued, like somebody cares about them. Feeling like you matter to someone or a group of people is at the heart of attachment. That's a primary psychological need. So connection's opposite is loneliness. We can do a lot of messed up things out of loneliness. How many of us have been in a group of people at some point in our lives and felt lonely? It sucks. Imagine a child or a teen feeling lonely while in your home, while in your house, under your roof, as part of your family. Happens all the time. What can we do about that? Well, there's plenty. From connection and time and a sense of value, you gain influence and can coach a child or teen to almost anything. What you want to do is teach them self-discipline. I don't mean like boot camp discipline. I mean, there's a place for that, but rather I mean the ability to delay gratification. That happens to be the single best predictor of a successful life. Intelligence helps a person live fairly well, but the advantages stop at just above average. It's self-discipline that counts. Not everybody can be really smart. Anyone can learn discipline. Know any intelligent losers? Of course we do. We all know people with plenty of potential who are failing at life. Know any really self-disciplined losers? Doesn't happen. Remind yourself that children desperately want to be parented. Your limits make them feel safe. Calm, steady, and authoritative parenting, expert parenting, instills confidence and a sense of security in a child. It makes them feel like they matter. Allow mistakes while realizing children whose parents fail to rescue them from themselves feel neglected, unloved, imperiled, and ultimately unworthy. It's your job to keep the kid alive and to socialize them. Use connection liberally and fear rarely. Use consequences so there's a price to pay for going against your priorities. Use the minimum amount of force necessary. Hold on to the idea that a parent should be able to outsmart their kid. Think about that one. And when or if connection is lost, regain it as soon as you can. Parenting is ultimately about a relationship. We could talk about how cultures of the Western world have been feminized. Dare me. Or how the banking system uses interest to create scarcity and competition. Its unrelenting need for growth, forcing more parents to work and earn for their families. Double dare me. The fact is, nature set things up so that a man and a woman and helper alloparents, they call it, raised new humans, grandma, the aunts, the neighbors, the big sisters, friends. That's largely gone. Since the Victorian era, the system has taken men from their home and left children to be raised primarily and unnaturally by mostly well-intentioned mothers. But in the end, all of this may miss what's important. It'll be the rare person who gets to age 80 and says they wish they worked more or took up yet another cause. Or very few get a diagnosis of terminal cancer with months to live and say, well, I wish I had a Ferrari. Time and time again, people say they wish they spent more time with their friends and families, especially with their children. It's about connecting with loved ones. Look up the Grant study. Payen ran that project for decades, checking on 700 men extensively every 2 years for life. And he concluded what mattered most in the end to all of those men was love, full stop. That's how he put it. So just focus on connection. If you get that right, most of everything else takes care of itself. By putting connection first, everything seems to fall into place. Seems like it's nature's way. Here's a pithy quote from someone I don't always agree with, but these words I know to be true. He says, as long as we feel safely held in the hearts and minds of the people who love us, we will climb mountains and cross deserts and stay up all night to finish projects. Children and adults will do anything for people they trust and whose opinion they value. Of course, that's Bessel van der Kolk. And I'll give you an example of this. I had a history teacher in grade 10 tell me just one time that I had a good mind for the subject. No one had ever told me that. Sure enough, I showed up early. I handed in my assignments on time. I volunteered to speak in front of the class. I took the most difficult subjects, and it was my only A in high school. If there were problems in your family of origin, like there were with mine, you need to stand up now and declare, and you know what? The pain stops here. And make your home a place to learn how to love and be loved. Grant this legacy to your children, to your family. Find it early, find it late. We must all find love. And connection is your key. If you have questions, if you have comments, holler at me. I'll be sure to answer. Feel free to share this with anybody you know. Don't forget to subscribe, you know, the regular. And in the meantime, stay powerful, true, and free. Thanks for listening.